the Fresh Maker.
We'll do our best, General Cox.
What's up? This week on the show, we're playing Too Cool, Too Fool for School, Chester Cheetah. This video is brought to you by Cheetos. Cheetos. I ate too many. I didn't get paid for this. I lied to you. I'm sorry. Was really hoping that Cheetos would pay for this, but now I'm the one paying. Cheetos. You ever gone on a date with a chick and it went really bad? Cheetos. Hi, have you ever thought to yourself, Cheetos, that'd be great for a straw? Well, you know what? No, you idiot. Have you ever... You know, on a nice summer day, I always tell myself, maybe I'll have a hot dog. But you know what? No, I'm all good, baby. Cheetos. Probably should have gone to the grocery store, you f***ing idiot. Cheetos.
Yes!
Hey everyone, and welcome. Oh my God! I have Cheetah in my eye. I have Cheetos in my eye. So lately in my career, I've kind of been given the inherent baton of the internet to be playing games starring food and beverages out there everywhere. And let me tell you, the 90s. The 90s. They're gross. They're so gross. Look, I love Gushers and fruit snacks and fruit by the foot and Pop-Tarts and Capri Sun as much as everyone else does on this goddamn planet. But let me tell you, when you take a beloved icon such as Chester Cheetah and you make a video game and it's about Cheetos, let's go.
Cool spot. The King, Pepsi Man. Every now and then, mascots from the junk food universe tear a hole in the fabric of space-time and climb out from their dimension into ours. What usually results are video games so heinous that they're only talked about in hushed circles. But on this show, we've battled and defeated many of them. That's right, I've taken everything you've thrown at me, junk food universe. I am not going down like a punk bitch. But now a new foe rises. It's Chester Cheetah, Too Cool to Fool. It stars Chester Cheetah, the Cheetos mascot, and even though you might find them delicious, legends say that their video game is anything but. Two versions of this game have been lingering since 1993, one on the Genesis and the other on the Super Nintendo. Somehow, the SNES version is even worse than its Genesis counterpart, so we're gonna stay far away from that version as possible. It's me versus the Genesis version of one of the most reviled titles from the 16-bit era. But I've bested numerous warriors of the junk food pantheon. This simple cheetah can't pose much of a threat. I mean, look at him. He doesn't even look like he can get a job. Get a job, you punk! Okay, here we go. Oh, so it looks like we've got a little cutscene here, and okay, I guess we are starting now. So the game opens up with Chester Cheetah just chilling on a bench when a dude who looks like a drill sergeant and his sweater-wearing pooch run by with a giant purple cheese grater. And then Chester flips out for some reason, and we're off to the races. No screen of text explaining things, no garbled 16-bit soundbite, nothing. Well, it turns out that this is one of those games whose story only exists in the manual. Yay. After reading it, I now know that our big-headed slouch of a mascot is actually being imprisoned here in the Four Corners Zoo. He planned to get away by ordering a quote-unquote really boss-chopped hog from a motorcycle catalog. But this guy, who's apparently a zookeeper named Mean Eugene, has stolen the bike, broke it up into 5 pieces, and has hidden those pieces around the zoo. Dude, the word mean is in your name, so it's clear that you regularly hate on the animals in the zoo. My question is, why? Can't you get another job where you won't have to interact with things that make you upset? Was the job market really that bad in 1993? At least you found a canine companion who's as much of a hater as you are. So now Chester's got to collect all the pieces of his bike and rebuild it so he can escape to a place called Hip City. Now, I'm not saying that the premise here is any worse than those of the other 16-bit platformers from the same era. It's actually pretty par for the course. But when games like Mario and Sonic the Hedgehog just threw you into the thick of things, they at least had quality gameplay to fall back on. With Too Cool to Fool, I am painfully aware that the developer's main objective was to advertise cheese-dusted corn chips to me. But I might be jumping to conclusions here. Maybe this game might actually turn out to be okay. Christ, I can't even fool myself. Let's just get this guy to Hip City as quick as possible. Also, I can't tell if Hip City is the name of an actual location in Chester's world, a nickname for a place in Chester's world, or a euphemism for something. Chester, be honest with me right now. Is Hip City drugs?
Then I get loopholes in my scruples.
Yeah, it's drugs. It's drugs for sure. Guys, this is a real product that the mascot is a cheetah who loves his own product. He is the legal drug dealer who does drugs that just so happens to be available at every local grocery store around you. He's getting high off his own supply. And for $1.99, you can too. Chester Cheetah Too Cool to Fool feels like the fever dream of a Ren and Stimpy animator after they've been laid off and forced to become a soulless corporate artist. It's confusing, abrasive, and generally unfunny, much like the current Cheetos ad campaign, which features Chester pressuring people into being dicks to one another.
Mandarin. It's excellent.
Blah, blah, blah.
This is it. Here's your role model, you millennials. Now gorge yourselves on orange foodstuffs for your orange food god. Hey, at least the Arabian Twitter account's pretty funny. I'll give it that. So my first impression of Too Cool to Fool is that it looks like one of those old Windows CD-ROM games. The frame rate is pretty painful and the characters just seem flat. Now, I'm not saying they lack personality. They're somewhat cute and cartoony. But because they have no shading nor any semblance of creativity in their designs, they just look lifeless. The backgrounds, however, I cannot claim as generic since they're so goddamn ugly. Assets are repeated ad nauseum. The coloring is just as flat as the characters. And there always seems to be this apocalyptic yellow haze looming in the background. Why does it look like there's a fire raging just one town over? Is Hip City burning? Is Hip City burning? I thought Hip City was drugged! And to make matters worse, or better depending on how you look at it, there's a power-up in the game that actually turns the background black and white. When you pick up the item modeled after Chester's boss-ass sunglasses, everything goes monochrome. Now, I think this was intended to help players more easily identify the collectibles that they need. But honestly, I can't tell if even that helps. How does one decide between a hot mess and a train wreck? We have a hot wreck on our hands, and there's also a train wreck there. The sound effects are either too loud in the mix, too quiet, or just annoying. But while the music is surprisingly bearable, the feeble shadow of mediocrity once again rears its homely head. Technically, this is a Genesis game, so the soundtrack does offer some funk. Some, but it still manages to be grating most of the time. That being said, I think, yeah, it's official. The one good thing about the game, the music. The music is the best part. Congratulations, you did it. The most surprising aspect of Too Cool to Fool is the fact that there actually is very little overt advertising for Cheetos. Aside from the ever-present Poochie-esque mascot, there's rarely a mention of the very product this game was made to sell. There are these collectibles that are shaped like the Cheetos paws from the 90s, but they're never explicitly referred to as Cheetos. Remember those, you millennials? They were the same chip, but in a different shape, so people bought them. I guess people didn't buy them enough, otherwise they'd still be around. And for For the 12 of you out there who probably can still buy these, I know they're just not where I live. I guess I've got to hand it to this game for not shoving the advertising down our throats with this barely playable commercial. I mean, we probably came this close to getting a game that bombarded us with ads, but what we got instead was a masterclass in bland. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure which fate is worse. Are we living in the dark timeline or the darkest timeline? I want to believe. Don't turn the game off quite yet. We've still got to guide our man Chester through 5 stages of zoo-themed wackiness. Too Cool to Fool is a platformer from a time when platformers were a dime a dozen, and the mechanics that it featured should be familiar to anyone who's played games during that era. But there's absolutely zero innovation to be had here, and this game even managed to take some of the most simple, tried and true mechanics and royally f*** them up. The level designs seem harmless enough. Fair, I'll give you that. You've got to search each stage for a piece of your chop-shopped motorcycle, and when you find it, you're free to hightail it towards the exit. But Chester's got some tricks up his sleeve to deal with his enemies. Check it. He can walk. That's right, and he can jump. He's got that one down too, you know. For real though, there's really nothing special about Chester's abilities. He can move and he can defeat certain dudes by jumping on them. Nothing else to really see here. Yet there are a couple of power-ups that you can acquire. There's a pair of running shoes in each level that gives Chester the ability to switch between his painfully slow walk animation and a run that's so fast that you almost have no control over where you're going and absolutely no chance of reacting to any enemies that appear in front of you. This game really forces you to pick your poison between taking forever to get anywhere and running into every single obstacle in the level. You can also find a skateboard that will take you to a bonus stage at the end of your current level. It is an auto-scroller in which your goal is to collect as many paw icons as possible while avoiding the many steamroller piloting dogs along the way. These bonus stages have 2 interesting distinctions from the rest of the game. One, this stage apparently takes place outside of the zoo. I mean, look, he's clearly on a city street. Why Chester doesn't simply keep on rolling his way to freedom is anyone's guess. And 2, this stage actually features some direct advertising. Look, there's a Cheetos posters back there. I see you. You guys may have tucked the ads away in a bonus stage, but I got you. I see you there. I see you. But based on the location and the inexplicable number of grunts, these bonus stages have got to be Cheetos-induced hallucinations. Everything in moderation, kids. You're gonna have so many goddamn Cheetos by the time you're done, you're not gonna be able to tell the difference between Chester Cheetah and Cool Joe, the smoking camel. Which brings me to the most baffling, infuriating item of them all, the guitar. This thing will actually make Chester invincible for a short time, which sounds pretty good, right? Except it's not, because while he's invincible, you lose all control of him. What is the point of invincibility if you can't use it to get past the things that can hurt you? It just goes to show that just because something feels good doesn't mean that it's actually helpful. Just look at him. He's hopeless. By the way, those little Cheetos paws icons are the basic collectible in the game. If you get 100 of them, you'll get an extra life. And the big Cheetos paws will refill your life bar after you take a hit. It's kind of ironic how Cheetos give you life in Too Cool to Fool, when in real life, they do the exact opposite and they take your life. It's the Shang Tsung of fast food. Chester's got some animal pals to help him in his quest. There's Funky Monkey and the Hippo. Oh boy. Funky Monkey can help you obtain out-of-reach items, and the Hippo acts as a platform to let you avoid water. But other than these two, it seems like every other animal in the zoo is trying to murder you. They probably know something that we don't. You know, I'm pretty sure the only reason why Chester's friendly with the monkey and the hippo is so he can always have some dudes around him to make him seem slightly cooler by comparison. You only fight a couple of bosses throughout the entire game, and they're always Mean Eugene and Grunt still doing their damnedest to keep you locked up. Eugene pilots the vehicles while Grunt throws a bunch of crap your way. Beating them involves jumping on them repeatedly, or sometimes just surviving long enough for the piece of your bike that they're holding onto to show up. These fights are extremely annoying since it's so damn difficult to avoid the seemingly random trajectories of Grunt's projectiles. I'm not sure if I can think of any redeeming qualities of Too Cool to Fool's gameplay. It somehow manages to take the gimmies of platforming and light them on fire. But there's a plus. You know what? There's only 5 stages. That's pretty good. I mean, there could have been 4. But in order to defeat my enemy, I must become my enemy! Chester Cheetah has managed to stay focused long enough to reclaim every piece of his bike, except for, the goddamn engine. The final area of the Four Corners Zoo takes Chester high into the sky for a level that completely apes the Sky Chase zone from Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Except that instead of Tails' plane, the Tornado, Chester rides a terribly giant moth monstrosity. This final level is all about avoiding flying squirrels, smug eagles, and all manner of crap that's flying at your face. If you make it far enough, you'll face off against Mean Eugene and Grunt one more time. But this time, they brought a military attack chopper, which is a completely appropriate countermeasure to a 75-pound cheetah who loves chips. The only thing you can do about the missiles that it fires is avoid them completely, and the only way to actually hurt the boss is to bop the birds that occasionally fly on screen to bomb you. If you hop on them when they're close to the helicopter, they'll drop their payload early, damaging the big baddie. Repeat this process for long enough, and the motorcycle engine is yours. And that's it. No unlockables, no secrets, no hard mode. Thank Jesus. There are no completion bonuses in Too Cool to Fool at all. After beating the final boss, you're treated to a wall of text in which Chester thanks you for helping him break free, alongside with a slideshow in the background depicting all the good times you never had while playing the game. And at the end, he says to, quote unquote, look for him in Hip City, which sounds oddly enough like a teaser for a sequel, which is laughably assumptive considering the quality of this game. Oh. There was a sequel. How the hell did we let this happen? Nevertheless, with his adventure at the end, Chester speeds down the road at 12 frames per second towards Hip City, a eating grin plastered on his face. Go ahead, Chester Cheetah. Go get your palace. And by that, I mean Hip City. And by that, I mean drugs. And by that, I mean burn everything to the ground. Chester Cheetah Too Cool to Fool is simply too frustrating to ever be fun. Its unresponsive controls, very sickening visuals, and maddening level design are starting to make me hate Cheetos. And I don't even want to hate Cheetos. It's one of those games that's challenging for all of the wrong reasons. And yet, it is a game I completed, so in my playthrough of Chester Cheetah Too Cool to Fool, there were 21 deaths, 2 of which were directly caused by accidentally picking up the guitar and falling into the water, a measly hour and a half of total playtime, 283 Cheeto Paws collected, and 6 months of mandatory rehab for Chester. Stay off the dust, son. There's virtually no reason to ever play this game, let alone complete it. And now that I've finished it, I can see why Chester went from radical fun-loving mascots to the vindictive asshole that he is now. He lived through the terror of Too Cool to Fool, but he was forever changed because of it. Warning, anyone who plays this game is at a huge risk of turning into a dick. Please, quarantine this game.
Chester Cheetah, Too Fool for Cool, for the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis, and anywhere out of Satan's butthole that it came from. Why? Why do you exist? Why are you here with us? And more importantly, why the f*** am I still eating Cheetos? It's a game. Maybe. With that in mind, guys, I give this game my completionist rating of donate it. I don't want to eat any more Cheetos.
Donate it.
That's all the time we have for today, guys. So, I'm not gonna eat anymore. That's all the time we have for today, guys. So please, as always, let me know what you thought about today's episode. It's in my eyes, somewhere on the internet. Question of the day: if you could take a food product and make it a video game out of it, what would it be and why? Why am I trying to eat the Cheetos still? Oh, it's in my eyes! Ah, this is the Now, if you excuse me, here's me singing a shit version of the reveal trailer for 2014's Metal Gear. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. The nuclear song, they went with Metal Gear Solid 5. Ah! It's in my eye! Standing on the edge of the crater, like the prophets once said, And the ashes are cold now. No more bullets. Something about Hideo Kojima. I'm nuclear. I'm Cheetos. I'm waking up. I have no more words. I'm Chester. I'm Cheeto. I'm waking up, covered in crime.